I always feel, looking back, that Survivor Series 2011 was designed to ultimately do two things. One, that was to rectify the mistakes of the previous 3 months that were made with the CM Punk character and to get the title on him so that way they could launch him off onto the path to WrestleMania. And this show got that done. The other thing it was designed to do, most importantly, was to really build up to WrestleMania 28 by setting the stage, setting the table for John Cena versus The Rock. And that show also accomplished that. So ultimately, this was an effective show for the WWE. And I think as a fan watching the show, going back and watching it now 3 years later, I think that's a fair thing to say. It's effective. Is it one of the all-time great Survivor Series? Oh, God, no. Is it good enough? Is it passable? Is it something you can actually sit through and you're not counting down the entire 3 hours saying, when is this shit going to be over? It is that type of show. It's good enough to get you through, and it gives you some highlights and some funny things that I will love to talk about here. Like you got Ziggler versus Jomo for the U.S. title. Solid opener. Nothing much more really to say about it. What's interesting to me is that, you had one match on here that I was maybe expecting a little bit more from, and that was Big Show versus Mark Henry for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, at this point in time, obviously myself and Smokey were very huge on the fact that this needed to be Mark Henry carrying the title until WrestleMania, at which point in time he would defend against Sheamus. I always wish that's where they would have went. I always wish that's the direction and path that they would have headed down, but it wasn't meant to be. The problem is with this match is that after what happened at Vengeance, I believe it was, the previous pay-per-view, where you had the suplex and, Lesnar Big Show style, the ring came crashing down. It was like this holy shit moment. Now you get here, and how do you really follow that up when you're still in the middle of the story? You're not close to the end. You were just beginning it, really, with that last pay-per-view. So this match was going to kind of fail to live up to the expectation. I actually think Big Show and Mark Henry do an okay job when they're in the ring with each other. But a lot of people don't like it when two big, huge, giant dudes like this wrestle because they don't do certain things, and that's their flavor, and that's their style, and that's fine. But for this case, I look at wrestling and I say, if I've got two high flyers, do they do what they need to do for the type of match they can do? Will that entertain me? Then on the flip side, I look at these two big, massive giants. Do these guys tell the right type of story for the type of in-ring action that they have to make this a passable match? I could watch two guys bump and flip and kick, and that's fine. Or I could watch two giants like this. If they do a good job, they do a good job. I'm entertained by that. This was okay, but like I said, it was hard to live up to what happened the previous month where you had the suplex and the ring fell down. And then we get to the awesomeness that was the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series tag match. Now, of course, there were only 6 matches on this card, and only one of them was a traditional Survivor Series tag match. I really thought that was very poor card and time structuring and management by the WWE. There's just no excuse for that. You had all these talents that didn't get on this card. You could have managed your time better, and you could have found a way in 3 hours to squeeze in another 4-on-4 or 5-on-5 tag match. It's just that simple. But here we are. We've got Team Barrett versus Team Orton in the middle of what was actually a pretty good storyline at the time between the two of them, and at a time where Wade Barrett was, getting a nice recovery push after the debacle of how the whole Nexus and the core, don't forget about the core and how all that crap went down. But of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the awesomeness of true awesomeness that was Sin Cara in this fucking match. If you go to Wikipedia and you look up Survivor Series 2011, some asshat put the genius comment in there when they put in order who was eliminated and by who. They put Sin Cara and elimination move, botched another move. Fucking Sin Cara Mystico, WWE's big, huge signing from Mexico. This stupid son of a bitch fucking Torres Patella tendon running in the damn ring. He's running and he's like, he jumps and he's like, my knee, motherfucker, you legend. I'm sorry, I can't contain myself. He didn't even tear it on the jump. He tore it fucking running. Who the fuck does that? Not planting, not turning, not doing any surprising movements, just running in a fucking straight line. That epitomizes the run of the original Sin Cara in the WWE. So he's sitting there, you had all this grandiose, great shit planned out for, Sin Cara. And then he fucking tears his knee up running like a jackass. And at that point in time, everything like kind of came to a screeching halt. And you see Randy Orton, who you would think, being the big-time main eventer that he's supposed to be, would have had enough fucking presence and enough sense to sit there and take command, be the ring general that was expected of him here, that was needed from him here. And instead, you can watch and you see it's Cody Rhodes that looks at him and says, come on, we can do this. You're in the fucking garden. And Cody Rhodes has to pull the shit together. Cody Rhodes is basically the one that saved the day and made this match work. Period. Indeed, know your role, jabroni. It was like Cody Rhodes was telling Randy Orton, the guy that has been at the top for years, the guy has main evented numerous pay-per-views, made millions of dollars from doing this shit. It was like Cody Rhodes was telling Randy Orton, know your fucking role, jabroni. Pull your head out of your ass, get your ring boner out of the gopher hole, and let's make magic, damn it. We can save this. And that's the type of shit that makes you sit there and look and you say, that's why I have so much respect for Cody Rhodes. We understand just how good he is because we see in moments like this just how good he is. I really like this match, though. You get the awesome hilarity of what is Sin Cara. You get the great attraction to me of Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston on the same fucking team. And then you got Wade Barrett and I think it was Cody Rhodes that were the survivors. So you're giving these young heels a bit of a rub here and a bit of a push. I love so many things about this fucking match. It's one of my favorite 5-on-5 Survivor Series tag matches. Sin Cara botching, Randy and Kofi on the same team, Cody Rhodes having to rally the troops and save the fucking day, and Randy Orton losing in the match, getting eliminated by Wade Barrett. Fucking awesome. I love this shit. And then we get to CM Punk versus ADR for the WWE Championship. And this always frustrates me. And I know I've talked about this on the old channel and so on and so forth. But this is how fucking stupid the WWE is in this modern time. This is how stupid they were in 2011. You've pulled out this whole work-shoot scenario that wasn't legit because Punk had resigned a couple months before July. And if you believe anything other than that, you are a naive tool. You've got this whole great angle. You got people buying into the bullshit. Punk's going to leave the company after Money in the Bank. Oh my God. He's got a title match. What happens if he wins? And then they have him win at Money in the Bank. And instead of sitting there and saying, let's do this and let's see what the fuck we can do with this, it's like they sat there and said, we'll do this and figure it out later. And there is a big, huge, important distinction and difference between the two. Sitting there and saying, we will do this, and we're going to fucking see where this takes us, means that you're willing to run with it. You're going to make something of it. You're going to try and do something to make this guy a big, huge, mega crossover star, to try and actually launch a new type of entertaining product, or at least, if nothing else, giving us one of those once-in-a-decade, perhaps once-in-a-generation type of entertaining wrestling storylines. Instead, it was the attitude of, oh, we boxed ourselves into a corner. Let's do this. And then we have to figure out what we're going to do from here. Like, you can't wait to get away from it. And then the whole stupid shit. You have Punk win the belt and leave. He has all of the leverage. So that way, 8 days later, this dumb dick could come back, surrendering all of his fucking leverage because apparently he was CM Moron. It was ridiculous. I don't care if you're a Punk fan or not, you knew it was fucking ridiculous. And it was an insult to you as a wrestling fan. You couldn't even let this play out a goddamn month, let alone 3 months, let alone try to make this an angle all the way to fucking WrestleMania 28. God forbid you'd want to do that, because that might actually make a huge megastar. That might actually give you 2 incredible attractions for WrestleMania 28 and not just one. We should throw in Taker, I suppose. He would be the other attraction. So instead of having 3, you only had 2. So stupid. And then Punk's got all the momentum. Punk is the guy that everybody wants to see. So it's him and Cena. Who's the real fucking champion at SummerSlam? And we have him getting jackknife powerbombed by the 50-plus-year-old quad-tearing Kevin Nash, the friend of Triple H, so ADR can cash in the Money in the Bank. And at SummerSlam, the show ends with ADR, the Money in the Bank winner, as the new WWE champion. And then you follow that up by having CM Punk lose to Triple H at Night of Champions. Then he loses as part of a fucking tag match. Do you see how fucking stupid and ridiculous this is? Do you see why I would get so worked up about this? It's fucking moronic. So now the WWE realizing yet again, like they've so often done, that they screwed the pooch and they took something that should have been one thing about one guy and made it about fucking Triple H and or Vince and their runs at the top running the fucking show. Here's Survivor Series 2011. Here's your chance to correct it. And here's your chance to set things in motion for Punk heading into WrestleMania. And that's ultimately what they did. Solid match between him and ADR. I thought these guys actually had decent chemistry. And thankfully, CM Punk won the title. And how he won the title here was very appropriate in a lot of ways because just like was so often the case during his 434-day title reign, he wasn't main eventing. And no matter how many idiots try to spin it to you any other way, in the WWE, the only match that can be called the main event is the match that goes on last. It's the guys traditionally that go on last that get paid the most money. Hence why it's called the fucking main event, you dumb dicks! So just like here, he's your champion, and he can't main event. There's always an excuse to find something else that you think is a bigger draw, usually revolving around Cena. Now, to be fair in this case, what you had going on here, how you've done the story with the Awesome Truth, how you've done the story between John Cena and The Rock, and what you're trying to set up to at WrestleMania 28, that tag match had to close out the show. So that I will defend. The consistent putting of CM Punk in the semi-main event or in the case of Elimination Chamber, opening match on the fucking card spot as champion is completely and totally ridiculous and inexcusable. But let's talk about the main event. One thing that WWE did really well here, you're in the Garden, it's Survivor Series, it's the first Rock match in over 7 years. They gave him 10-plus minutes of promo time. A glaring oversight that happened at WrestleMania 28 where they didn't give The fucking Rock, a live mic and let him cut a promo. How stupid is this? But they did it here at Survivor Series, and it set the table very well. You know, it's one of these things, you had no doubt in your mind that John Cena and The Rock were going to win here. I always thought it would have been a lot better and a lot more interesting and a lot more compelling to either have one of two things happen and wouldn't have necessarily led to a heel turn at all. Something happened between Cena and The Rock, some type of exchange, one bumps into the other, and one gets knocked out, and it's 2-on-1, and either The Rock or Cena gets pinned, or the one guy walks out on the other, they get into it, and the one guy says, that's fucking enough, I've had it, I'm going to stand here and watch you lose. You know, instead they just had to have John Cena and The Rock win, you've got Rock coming back in his first match, so I kind of get that, but it was very predictable. Just because it was predictable doesn't necessarily mean it was bad. But you could clearly tell at this time that The Rock was a long ways away from being in great in-ring shape. And he still had it at moments, and he still had those flashes. And I actually think his performance here in this match was a lot better than technically than the one at WrestleMania 28 or most certainly WrestleMania 29. But, you know, this wasn't the greatest visual masterpiece in the world. And like I said, it was kind of predictable. But at least this match had a big-time attraction type feel. I just always thought how stupid it was that the WWE had announced a couple of weeks beforehand on the website that Rock and Cena were going to team up at Survivor Series. Then they assumed that nobody ever reads a fucking website, so they try to make an angle out of it on TV where is Rock going to line up with John Cena at Survivor Series? Is he going to team up with him to take on the Awesome Truth? It's like you're assuming none of your fans visit your fucking website. How stupid are you? It's just kind of stupid. But overall, like I said, it's a funny shit. You had a match that felt like a big deal. They were starting to hopefully rectify their wrongs with CM Punk. You had some good matches on this card. I'm okay with Survivor Series 2011. Like I said, it accomplished what it needed to accomplish, and it was definitely at least a passable show. That felt like, in some ways, a Big Four WWE pay-per-view, a Survivor Series pay-per-view should feel.